All right, hi guys. We were gonna have a class today all about emotions, how to deal with them. We were gonna talk about the new adaptive line. A lot of you are super curious about that line, and I know that you guys are all busy moms. You're all getting you have a lot of projects to do, a lot of places to be, and sometimes Sundays are really hard. So I just thought, hey, why not jump on, do a quick video with my bestie here, and talk about what we were going to talk about in the class. So, we are just going to cover overall, just in general, different emotions, how to use natural products to deal with the emotions that we deal with on an everyday basis. But I brought her because her son has autism, and she is one of my go-tos when it comes to dealing with kids with special needs. Or just even yourself, a family member, or anybody that you know that maybe needs a little bit extra than the normal person would. So she has some really great protocols that she does with her son Beckett that I thought you guys all could benefit from. But yeah, and then I have the adaptive line here, and all of you guys are my customers. So if you want a sample, you want to smell it, you want to meet me somewhere, I'm always available for you guys to do that. Okay, so talking about emotions, what we need to realize when it comes to emotions is that it says what we need to realize that our body works as a whole. And it's super, super smart. Our body is super smart. It does what we need to do, and sometimes we don't need to tell it what to do. But sometimes things go wrong in those processes, and we need to use things to naturally help it out. And when it comes to our emotions, sometimes we think it's just a season. Sometimes we're super anxious, or we're anxious about a certain circumstance in our life. We're anxious about certain things that are happening. Sometimes we just kind of think we just need to deal with it. We need to get over it. This will pass. And sometimes when we're dealing with emotions, we have something chemically inside of us that needs extra help. So which way that you fall, we all need support with our emotions. So basically, what I want to talk about is what an emotion is and what happens inside of our bodies when we have an emotion. So basically, we experience something, whether that's super stressful, whether it's happy, whether that's sad, whether it's fearful, and inside our body is chemically firing up. And our emotion is basically the expression of what is happening inside of our body. Sometimes something is happening, whether we're sick, something's off inside of our body, and it's actually not anxiety that we're feeling, but a symptom from something happening. So I have a story about that actually. I was feeling really dizzy this last week. I just felt like I couldn't keep my balance. I felt something's off. I'm feeling really a lot of anxiety. I'm not a person that really suffers from a lot of anxiety. I feel like something's heavy on my chest. I went to the doctor, a holistic doctor, and he was like, well, basically when our equilibrium is off, it can trigger anxiety because our body doesn't know where we are. So if we're feeling dizziness, if we're feeling this, anxiety is a symptom. So remember that too when we talk about emotions. Sometimes we have to look deeper in what is happening inside of our body. Sometimes those emotions are just physical symptoms from something else that's happening. But anyways, going back to those reactions firing up in our body and our expression of our emotion, whether that's we get tension in our shoulders, whether we get back pain, whether we start crying, whether we are angry, those are all expressions of the chemical things that are happening in our body. And we all express those differently. And sometimes some people can our wiring and our firing is working a little bit better than somebody else's. So basically, I just wanted to talk about how our body is a whole, and we have to make sure that it's working properly in order for us to express those emotions and handle those emotions properly, and the best that we can. Okay. So basically, I'm looking over my notes here so I don't talk about a bunch of things that don't matter. Okay. So, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to kind of break down what I call is a feel-good protocol that I feel like can help anybody with if you're dealing with wanting to deal with your emotions better. And that's why the adaptive line comes in. There's a bunch of different things that our body needs in order for us to process emotion. So things like cortisol and serotonin in our body, things like that. If those levels are off, then we have wiring that's going haywire a little bit, and we need extra things to help boost whatever mood that we're trying to feel. So the first thing is we talk about that whole body system yet again. And what people don't realize too is that things like a lot of hormones and those serotonin levels that we talk about, cortisol, those are all developed in our gut. So we need to make sure that our body is running at its highest. We need to make sure that our gut is processing the things that are good in there. We're keeping the good things in, and we're our body's eliminating the bad things that shouldn't be there. Because sometimes when we have an excess of inflammation in our gut, that affects our hormone levels. It affects our serotonin levels and things like that. So I have a feel-good protocol that I will send you guys all in a picture form so that you guys can have with you to kind of use as a tool to help you. The first thing, and then Brittany is going to talk about the kid version of that protocol. It's kind of the same. And she'll add in some extra differences. So the first things first is we want to make sure that our body is getting all the nutrients we need. Our hormones are being balanced. We're getting essential fatty acids. We're getting our omegas. We're reducing the inflammation in our body. We're just making sure that we're getting all those nutrients that we need. Sometimes we eat really good, and sometimes we don't eat so good. So taking a product like Lifeline Vitality kind of makes our body, making sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's when it comes to our health and overall wellness. The next thing that we talked about, that gut health, making sure that the good things are staying in and the bad things are going out. So probiotics, so PB Assist, making sure that we're taking those daily. Another one is Terrazymes. Now I know Brittany's going to talk a little bit about that when it comes to special needs. What do we need to know about their digestive health sometimes?
So Beckett has autism, so specifically with kids with autism, and not every kid, because actually he doesn't experience difficulty with this, but have a lot of digestive issues for a variety of reasons. It could be just internally, or it could be something as simple as they have limited foods that they're willing to eat, and so you don't always get the good variety that you need in order to make the digestive system work correctly. So the Terrazymes are a really good option in order to keep things working well.
So Terrazymes come in a pill that you swallow. So first thing that comes to mind is obviously if you're an adult and can swallow pills, these are amazing. They're basically a food enzyme that just kind of helps get rid of, like we talked about, the bad, anything that's not in there. Sometimes when we eat gluten or other things, it's harder for our body to digest. So when we take things like Terrazymes and probiotics, it helps it digest those foods that are harder to digest and get rid of that bad stuff that's in there. With Terrazymes for kids, you can actually open up the capsule and then drop it in applesauce, yogurt,
juice, anything that the kid is willing to eat. Smoothies is a great one. Smoothies is a great one for hiding a variety of things. But anything that your kid will eat that they're not going to notice it. And then you know that they're getting all of it.
So as far as good gut health for adults, normally in the Lifelong Vitality, there's actually the Digest Zen blend, which is our tummy tamer blend, so that when you're taking the vitamins, it's helping you digest them properly. They have a kids version as well with the same formula made for kids. So we start there. We start with probiotics, and obviously if you have a harder time with digestive health, then you would do like Digest Zen. For kids, there's the Tamer blend.
There is the Tamer blend, yeah, the roller.
Yes, and then sometimes our bodies just need more. I was recently at a conference and a doctor was talking, and he asked the question, If your child, if you have a baby that deals with chronic eczema, what oil should you use? And everyone was like, lavender. But he was like, wrong. He's like, Terrazymes, because it all starts in the gut. So he's like, if you are a breastfeeding mom, you can take Terrazymes and then it would benefit the baby as well. So Terrazymes are just so good, and routine is so good for our gut health. So we can't take probiotics 3 times a month and then expect us to have good gut health. And Brittany was telling me earlier that for somebody with special needs like autism, routine is so important, especially for digestive health. So we say this in general. Anytime we use oils, they work better when you have a routine and you're using them every single day instead of waiting until the symptom is like here and then you're trying to put Digestin on and then it's not working for you. So routine when it comes to that. So internal prevention every single day, lifelong vitality, good gut health, probiotics, Terrazymes, Digestin, the Tummy Tamer blend for kids. The next one we suggest daily would be frankincense. Frankincense is good for our cellular health. So when you do a lot of the research on frankincense, you can do a ton of it online. It helps repair your cells. It is studied, and it's one of the oils that we know can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. So it's so good for just overall preventative health. Focus, moods, so many different things. And this is the one that you use with the kids.
I use frankincense every day. I diffuse it every day, and then I also use it internally every day. With both of my kids, but especially just with Beckett for that mental clarity, because kids, I call it like an autism fog. Sometimes kids with autism when they're little, or depending on severity, will be just kind of unaware of what's going on around them.
I feel like there's adult fog too.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks kind of the same. And it's just not being present. And if they're not present, they can't interact and do the things that we want them to do to just improve behavior and interact appropriately and all of that. And so I actually take the frankincense bottle and I just tip it upside down, and so that I have the oil on my finger, and I rub it on the roof of their mouth. So I just put it in and rub it on the roof of their mouth. And I do it for both my kids, but it really helps Beckett, and I'm really, really consistent with that. And at first, they tell me, ew, gross, and I just had their water right there so they could drink their water, and now they don't say anything at all. And so they just get used to it, but that's because we do it every single day. And overall, his mental clarity has improved a lot, and that affects his whole day.
Yes.
In everything that he does.
You can also take, as an adult, the bottle. This isn't frankincense, but you can take the bottle and just open it up and drop it in there. A lot of people are sensitive, even kids, right? So a lot of people are just super sensitive to taste and things like that. So another tip that I do with my kids, and sometimes with myself, sometimes I suck it up and just do that, but is I actually take, so the kids' version of the Omegas is wild orange flavor. It tastes really good. And I just drop a drop of frankincense on the spoon, and then I drop the Omegas right on top of it so that they're getting it every day before they go to school. And the next one for internal prevention for your mood is what the new products that we're going to talk about is Adaptive. So this one, I'm really excited about this because this is the first product that actually has been tested in behavioral therapy centers for how effective it is. It has a lot of different components in there, a lot of different words I can't pronounce. But what I can say is that there's a product in there that helps with balancing your serotonin levels in your gut. So basically, if we have lack of serotonin, we feel sad. It's basically what it comes down to. It's why sometimes when you go to the doctor and you say, I'm super sad and I can't get out of it, it could be a lack of serotonin. So then we get on things like maybe an antidepressant or things like that. And what antidepressants do is help tell your brain to produce a fake serotonin, basically, so that you can feel happy. Because if we have an imbalance of serotonin, we just feel sad. Same thing that can happen to kids as well. It has a product called GABA in there that basically sometimes when we're taking in stressors in our life, they can accumulate, right? There's too many stressors, and we feel our system goes haywire, and that's where we feel anxious. We feel overwhelmed. We feel anxiousness. We just feel like it's too much. So GABA, it actually helps regulate those anxious feelings. There's a ton of research that you can actually do on GABA online as well. But that GABA is in here to help you deal with those anxious feelings. And then the last thing is basically, I can't pronounce it very well. It's, I don't even want to try. So basically, there's something else in here that helps actually balance both of those in our body. So it helps balance serotonin in our body and helps balance GABA in our body, so that they are staying. So our body can sustain it, I should say, not help balance them, but help them sustain it inside of our body. So that when we take this, we're helping with the serotonin levels, we're helping with the GABA levels, and then we're also helping with just help our body sustain it. So it's been clinically trialed. You can go online and actually look at the trials that they've done. But this is your daily preventative. Now, you don't have to be somebody that suffers from anxiety all the time. You don't have to be somebody that, I mean, you just have to be basically qualified as a human being that deals with too many stressors in life. And maybe sometimes you feel a little bit of overwhelm, or this can help with focus. And I know you were saying with Beckett, the way he reacts to things and transitions and things like that can be hard for him.
Yeah.
So tell them, okay, so you have how old is Beckett now?
Beckett's 4.5 now.
Yes. How do you give this to him?
Okay, so like she said, it could be used for anything mental wellness, but when I was released, saw autism written all over it, just because Beckett tends to have difficulty with transitioning and emotional regulation, so he may overreact to something that doesn't seem like a big deal. And so that, to me, was like, okay, I can't wait to try this. So I use all 3 parts of the line. Obviously, the capsule he can't take internally, so I cut it open every day, and I just squeeze half of it out and rub it on his foot, and squeeze the other half out and rub it on his foot, and it's like a grainy, pasty consistency. And he doesn't have a problem with it. I just put it on his feet, and so I use the capsule every day. I use the roller throughout the day, just rolling it on him before school, when he gets home from school, during therapy, before baseball. Anytime there's something that he's really going to need to focus for, and it really keeps him, improves his focus, keeps him a little more grounded. And that, for him, is a really big thing, because his inability or his difficulty with paying attention or staying present and focusing impacts everything he does. So if he's able to do that, he can participate a lot more effectively, really, in everything, in school, in baseball, in playing with friends, all the things. And then I diffuse too. So we diffuse throughout the day, but the main time that we really use the oil to diffuse is during therapy. And we just diffuse in the room, because that's where he's, learning and doing and focusing. And if I could diffuse it in his classroom, I probably would, but it's public school, so they don't let us do that.
I love how you talked about, though, that they all go hand in hand. They actually sell it in a kit all together, and there's a reason why they do that. So you're getting your preventative, helping your body regulate all those things that we were talking about. You're getting it topically, so using it topically throughout the day. And actually, these are different than, so there's essential oils in these as well. So things like lavender, wild orange, I think it's in here. Let's see. It'll say, I know fennel's in here. Here it is. Lavender, coriander, wild orange, and fennel. So there is essential oils in here, but these are different. So these have different essential oils in them. It has wild orange, lavender, so those are similar. Also has copaiba. Copaiba is amazing for calming benefits. So this is one we would think about. When we think about copaiba, we think about CBD. A better version of CBD in a sense of that it's regulated, it's tested, and doesn't have THC, because we know that because this comes from a tree. And we can give that to our kid. So it has copaiba, it has magnolia, which is super, super calming. It has things like rosemary, which is amazing for memory retention and focus. It has neroli as well. What I love about this, it has it has spearmint too, which is great for focus. Spearmint is in the peppermint family. What I love about this oil is that it has the right amount of calming, but it has the right amount of like pick me up and focus. So it's a perfect blend they put together, so that when you're taking this, you're not going to go to bed. So when we think of falling asleep, we would maybe think of Serenity. This is all things calming, but also uplifting, so you're not going to fall asleep when he goes to therapy.
And they need both of those. He needs to be calm, but he also needs to be focused. Kind of
right.
We all do in everything that we do.
Right. So, so going on from internal prevention, so we're taking those things internally, making sure our body's working properly. So we talk about applying. Now, anytime when it comes to applying, people always ask me like, so when do I apply? How do I apply? What do I apply? So we kind of give you a few simple, there's like a million that we can go into, but these are great ones to start with. And I typically think that as a standard overall, we talk about that pattern. So morning, noon, and night. Those are just like good. Like you're in the morning, you start your day. It's actually a part of my kids' routines on their chart. In the morning, we apply, and maybe when they get home from school, we apply, and then before they go to bed, we apply. That's kind of a general rule of thumb. But also, too, start being aware. Carry these with you. If you're feeling like anxious feelings come on, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling any of these things, that's why you have your roller there, and you can apply as needed. So same thing goes for my kids. So how we apply is we just put it behind our ears is a great place, on our wrist, just like you would perfume, or over the heart. Those are like my favorite places to apply for emotions. So obviously the adaptive one works amazing for all of that stress and calming. Some other ones that I put here are rose essential oil. Rose essential oil is amazing for just kind of feeling that grounding and that balance. Actually, when you look up in an emotional, I don't have my emotional book right here, but when you look it up, it says help you feel loved. And I thought that was really great. It smells really great. It's a rose. It smells so pretty. So that's my favorite to kind of just feel grounded. Serenity is amazing if you feel like you need that calm. So as I'm going down here, I put a mixture of calming, because sometimes people run at a higher level, and we just need to be like, calm down. And some people run at a lower level, and they feel like they need that pick-me-up. So I tried to put a balance of both. Serenity is all things calming. It's a heightened version of lavender. It has cedarwood and other things in there to help for all the calming benefits. Vetiver. It's actually when you open up vetiver in an essential oil book, and if you don't have one, please reach out to me and I will get you one. But when you look up vetiver, the first thing that comes up on here is ADHD because of focus. So do you use this one in Becca's routine?
So that's one of them that we do in the morning, or before therapy, or before baseball, or before church, anywhere that he's going to need to focus. And we just put a drop on his feet. So I do the adaptive capsule, so I break it open and I rub it on his feet, and then I add vetiver on top of it, and then put his socks or his shoes or whatever we're doing on top of it, because it's pretty intense. It's a great oil, and he needs that level of intensity, and a lot of us do.
Yeah, so vetiver is like if you were to buy a vetiver, it's super thick, and it's very strong.
It is.
I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't smell very great.
Yeah.
But it's when you open it up, the top uses, the first one, it says ADD and ADHD, so focus. It says apply 1 to 2 drops behind the ears and on the back of the neck, just what I did. Or even the back of the neck, that's a great spot for focus and concentration.
And for kids on the feet, just because it's so strong.
Yeah, it is
because
strong.
He wouldn't, I probably now could put it on, closer up in this area, but on the bottom of the feet to start, because it is so strong.
It's very strong. Sleep and insomnia, balance issues, PTSD and anxiety, all those things are everything that we're talking about. So that one's a great one. That one's a very highly concentrated one. The next one is Balance Essential Oil. It's my favorite oil for overwhelm. It's a blend of different oils to help you feel balanced and grounded. One of my favorite pick-me-up oils for moods is Elevation. It's very citrusy smell. So it's a great one to apply if you just feel like you need a boost of mood, a boost of energy, just a boost of of anything. And then the next one is another calming one, which is peace. So this is if you kind of suffer from those anxious feelings, like those chronic thoughts that keep circling in your head, this would be a great one. And then the next feel-good protocol thing on our list is diffusing. So Brittany says she diffuses a lot. So just getting in the habit of always diffusing. They have amazing diffusers. I know you can buy diffusers on Amazon, and that's great. If that fits your budget, then those work. I do have to say the difference is doTERRA's are a little bit, they'll last you a little bit longer. You have to use less oil. My favorite is the new Petal diffuser. It has a 10-hour timer. So in the morning, it's a routine of us to start diffusing for the 10 hours. And then it's still on when the kids are, before they go to school and when they get home and do their homework. And then re-putting in another blend in there before we go to bed, and it's diffusing all night long. So another great one, obviously we talked about adaptive. So getting that in the diffuser, that's perfect, like you said, during therapy. Homework, things like that.
Anytime you need to focus.
Or just giving it to them before they go to school. Another great diffusers are Balance and Peace again. Those are just really easy go-tos. Wild Orange is just super simple. Smells good. It's a great pick-me-up. And then some of my other diffuser, one of my favorites to diffuse is the yoga blends. Now, I know this may sound weird because we're not doing yoga, even though that'd be a great practice if you like it for mental health. But I love them because they're blends to help. There's one that's called a Rise. So sometimes we need to be alert. Alert and uplifting. It smells absolutely amazing. It's very citrusy. There's one that's called Anchor. So sometimes we kind of need to anchor into ourselves and just kind of calm down. And then there's one that's called Align. And they all smell really great. These are one of my favorite diffuser blends to diffuse. Okay, so when you are out at work or at school, and you are in a public school, or you are in an office where you can't diffuse, or whatever the case may be, I want to give you a super simple way to diffuse when you are on the go. So you just take 1 or 2 drops, you rub it together, and you literally just breathe it in. Like, take 30 seconds, breathe it in as much as you can, and then kind of put it in your hair. I saw that from an oil enthusiast. Yeah, an oil essentially obsessed. She can put it in her hair and behind her neck after she smells it for a little bit. But it's just a way that's a natural diffuser. You're basically just diffusing without a diffuser. It's the quickest way to help affect your mood when you don't have a diffuser. And then the last protocol is nighttime. So one thing that I didn't mention too, a lot of people were asking, well, how long does adaptive last? Well, that's different for everybody. I can take one and I feel like maybe at night before bedtime is kind of when I'm feeling a little bit edgy. But I feel 1 is sufficient. I know that you can take 2 per day, but I, like I said, I'm not like super anxious or anything like that. But I read somewhere and I heard somewhere that taking adaptive alongside Copaiba, so Copaiba has those major calming effects for our brain, would help the longevity of your adaptive. So we found out at convention from our doctors that Copaiba lasts in the body for 9 hours, for up to 9 hours. So that's pretty much your whole day. So taking adaptive and Copaiba together, so whether that's taking adaptive, the pill, and then dropping Copaiba on your tongue with your frankincense in the morning, whether that's taking the capsule already, they sell them in a capsule form, is a great way to kind of boost those calming effects and have them longer lasting for you. But nighttime routine. Sleep is so important. Sleep, when we're sleeping, our body is repairing. And we forget that sometimes, but we need to make sure that we get a good quality sleep. So some of my tips for sleeping is for mental health, this protocol is Copaiba. I take one every single night. And if you need an extra boost of sleep, so Copaiba and Serenity soft gels together. Not the oil, but the soft gels for Serenity. And then I put on here, I'm going to send you guys this protocol sheet that I have, but I put on here Claricalm. And the reason why I put that has nothing to do with emotions, but Claricalm helps with our hormone balances. And sometimes, whether it's that time of the month or whatever we're going through, our hormones need to be balanced in order for us to have good moods. So I put that on there, right?
Yeah.
I just put that on there because I feel like it's just a routine. It's not something that you're going to put on and you're like, wow, my hormones are balanced, right away. But over time and doing that protocol every single day, you'll notice that when you remove that from your system, you'll be like, wow, that really was helping me. And then I put down here, it's on this sheet too, says Calm the Beast. So I have tons of books. So this one's called I Am Fabulous for Emotional, it says Blends for Emotional Well-Being. And this one is Calm the Beast Diffuser Blend. 1 drop of frankincense, 1 drop of lavender, 1 drop of arbor vitae, and 1 drop of lime. So that could be a great diffuser blend. Some of those were mentioned and some of them weren't, but I just thought I would throw that in there. Is there anything else that you can think of for Beckett's routine that we didn't mention? That maybe, like, this is a good overall protocol, but, like, if you needed a boost of things, what would those be?
Well, we talked a lot. So we talked about the internal health, and that's super important. And so I'm really, really consistent with the vitamins. So the Alpha CRS, the Omega, and then the PBS Junior, which they love. And I know that some kids and on the spectrum with special needs and not on the spectrum have a hard time getting used to either the texture or the flavor, or like the tablets are a little grainy almost. But just introduce one at a time. And they just that's what I did with Beckett. We started with the PBSS because that was the sweet one. And now he takes all 3, no problem, like every single night. So that's the most important, the consistency with the vitamins, both for me, but also for him. We didn't talk about DDR Prime. That's something that I have in a roller. You can buy it in a capsule or in a roller. And I think it's in a 15 ml now. It used to only be a 30 ml, but you can buy it in a 15 ml now.
Yes.
And I put it straight into a roller. And that's one of the things that I roll on every morning and every night. And that's for that cellular repair. And again, that mental clarity for him. That's for Beckett in particular. That's really important.
Right. DDR Prime is actually, it's not talked about a lot, but it is our cellular repair blend. It actually has frankincense in it. It has things like frankincense. I know it has things like thyme and I think black pepper and a bunch of stuff that just helps our cells find that repair. So if you're having a lot of inflammatory issues, I know it's recommended for a protocol, but I feel like if your body needs an extra boost of just help for, Beckett inside of him has a lot going on every single day. And there's a lot of that overwhelm of him just being able to process everything that's happening. And that is a great boost for him for just overall his cellular repair.
And it's just part of our daily. We have the rollers we do in the morning and the rollers we do at night. And I just choose to put it in a roller for convenience, just because the kids are used to it and they can use it on their own that way.
Right.
So that one we add. I also use Intune with him. There is one Thinker for the kids line, which I do like that one as well. And I use that on my other little one. But when attention is part of his biggest issue. It's one of the most difficult things for him. So I like Intune. It's just stronger. And it's got, it can really smell the patchouli in it. So it's pretty strong also. So that's another one that you can start on the feet. I don't anymore. But I like to use that every day as well. We talked about the capsule, the adaptive capsule on the feet, the vetiver on the feet, and then the tummy tamer every morning, just to make sure that the digestive system is just working how it's supposed to be. So that's kind of our morning. We talked about diffusing, the adaptive. Another one that I do diffuse is a blend of frankincense, lavender, wild orange, and vetiver. So again, you have that calming, but you have the wild orange in there that's uplifting, and it smells really, really good. So I just like it. And one tip, and actually you taught me this, you have one over there. Instead of having the 4 bottles and having to put them in, because I'm at work, so either our nanny has the kids or my mom or my husband has the kids, so it's a lot easier if you just put all 4 into one bottle.
So it looks like this.
One dropper, and I put the little sticker so everyone know what it is for, and they can just drop a certain number of drops into the diffuser when it's time for therapy.
So people are going to ask me, where do I get these bottles?
Oh.
Basically, you just use an empty, this is almost empty.
Yeah.
this is Balance Bottle, and you just take the sticker off. You take the sticker off, and then you open it up, and you take this plastic part off, and you basically fill it, like I said, with all, or like she said, with all 4 different oils. And to make it easy for everybody, it's ready to go. We talked about that routine, doing this every single day. Our emotions you just didn't wake up and have anxiety, or wake up and have autism, right? Or wake up and like get to the part where he's doing so well with his transition. This is how it happens over time with a routine. So if this makes it easy for you to diffuse throughout your house, because you're just the type of person that's like, wait, I forgot the recipe, let me go look at it. Make one, and I put one of the dropper tops on there, but you can just leave the regular one that's already on there. Make it easy for you to get in the habit of just doing it. I went back to the cellular. I looked up the DDR Prime, and I thought this was really, really great. So DDR Prime is great for damaged DNA repair. So it says apply 2 to 4 drops on the bottoms of the feet and spine morning and night. It's great for thyroid issues. It's great for immune support. It's a great antioxidant. It's great for a liver detox. It's great for rheumatoid arthritis. And there's a couple different things. It says for emotional use, it says just as this blend helps transform health at a cellular and DNA level, it is also useful in emotional transformation. Use it to turn toxicity into rebirth. Wow, so that was deep.
It helps that recovery, right? And that's like Beckett has a harder time recovering than a typical kid. And so that's part of the consistency, so that he is able to, and along with teaching him how, right? There's a lot of things we do, but our oils are right there, helping him to recover more quickly when he's overstimulated or overreacts or something like that.
There's an actual quote in here from somebody. It says, my autism spectrum disorder nonverbal, almost 3-year-old son said his first word within 10 minutes after applying this blend over his brain stem.
That's pretty intense.
That's pretty intense. He hasn't stopped talking since. So that's a big thing that we put in here. But or that they put in here. I didn't make this book. Somebody put this in there. But that would be a great one if you feel like this protocol seems great, but like I need a little bit extra. I do want to say too is that another thing too is that sometimes we say like, great, this sounds great, but like I feel like this has been a problem that I've been having for a really, really long time, and I need to do this alongside a doctor. I can provide a couple different recommendations of people that have taken the holistic approach to health, doctors in the Riverside area that use essential oils along with other natural supplements that can also come alongside this protocol and help you if you need it, if you need that recommendation. Another thing too is like, I want to challenge you to do this for 30 days. Do this for 30 days consistently and see how you feel. See how it's helped or where it hasn't, right? And that's where you can it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? To sit here and think like, okay, all these protocols, but that's why I put it in this form right here to make it super easy. You can put it on your phone or on your refrigerator. Do it for 30 days, see how you feel and where you can add more or take away or whatever the case may be. But I promise you will feel better just by incorporating some of these to your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
the consistency is super important for us and for our kids.
And another thing that she brought up too, I know we're not talking about this today, but start evaluating what other things are in your house. So one of the huge, what got started me using oils was nothing of this measure, actually. It was for my daughter with allergies. And oils are amazing. They work great. They've transformed our life. But it really didn't start like us seeing the whole picture of it until we started changing our whole entire household. So that could be from the things that you're cleaning with, the things that you are like using plug-ins or candles that aren't natural and things like that it can mean so many different things. A lot of those things like plug-ins, perfume, cleaners.
So personal products,
Yes,
like shampoo and conditioner, lotion, all those
right.
things.
A lot of those things get into our skin, which is our biggest organ, and they block hormones. They mess with our body chemically, so that these processes and the way that we can handle stressors in our life, it affects those things. So it really starts from the whole.
It does.
So that's why we say consistency and protocols, doing them for longer than a week. And really just assessing what is being put on our skin, in our body, and in the air in our own home. So, but yeah, I think we're...
Yeah, switching out the products and being consistent with the routine and making it easy for yourself. So figuring out what can I do now, start doing that, and then add things in. Like, we didn't build these protocols in a week.
No.
But they've built over time. Like, I started with one blend, which was the Vetiver, Frank, Lavender, and Wild Orange blend. And then it's kind of, I still love that blend, but then I've developed, what I'm using with him and our whole family over time.
Right, and then just and that was what we talked about, the protocols of being able to say, you know what, he really reacts really well to the Peace Blend or whatever, and how you guys can get, if you're dealing with kids, assess, what I kind of like about emotions with kids is make a chart, talk with their teachers, and make a chart at home. And so, like, if you start these protocols and there may be a kid that has anxiety, or if it's a bigger issue, talk to their teachers to see how they did. So say like you're doing Adaptive and Vetiver, right? Say those are the two that you chose to start with. And ask their teacher, how was their day? How did they handle their emotions better? Now, if it's not something that they're dealing with at school, ask them when they get home. How do you feel? How did you feel a little bit braver or whatever? And if we had a feel-good day, then we put a sticker, a happy smiley face. If we didn't have a feel-good day, then we put a sad face. And then we said, okay, so we did an Adaptive and Vetiver today. Let's add balance to our routine. Or, mix and match other different things. And start seeing when you see more happy faces. So that's a great way to kind of step back and see, and they can see too how they're dealing with their emotions and what's working for them and what they love and what they don't. Another thing that I have to mention is sometimes we're super literal. So we open up a book and we say, we're feeling depressed. So it says Wild Orange, I need to be using Wild Orange. Well, when it comes to kids, sometimes they're not going to like that oil that they recommend. They're not going to like geranium oil. I don't know. They're not it's kind of, but they're not going to like that specific blend, even though it says that it's going to help them be happy, right? So, but they love Wild Orange, or they love the Brave oil, or whatever that oil is, and they love it, but it's like that in the book, it doesn't say that it's going to help with their anxiety. Let them just start using it. It's a way for them to process their emotions, to know how they're feeling, and to reach for something natural so that they can process their emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I was trying to make this short, but I have no idea how long we went. But we were talking about some good stuff. So I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. All right, bye.
Bye.
Uh-oh.